Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, July 19th, 2017. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Head of Security at the Argyle International Airport, Keith Miller, says investigations are ongoing into claims of luggage theft. Speaking on NBC Radio earlier today on the issue, Miller said while they have received several complaints in relation to the issue, their investigation thus far shows no signs of wrongdoings, noting that the screening procedure for luggage at the AIA is highly systematic.
It is not a case where things are done ad hocly. It is so systematic. And only personnel who have authority to be in the whole baggage area and to be in the bag reconciliation makeup area will be there. No other person has authority to be in that area. The whole baggage area is secured. It is locked by biometrics and it is covered by CCTV, which is monitored. So I just want to repeat, it is a systematic process. Persons take static guard at those bags once they are on the carts are waiting to be taken across to the airline. When you get to the airlines, personnel also take up static duty at the airline to ensure that the bags are safely loaded onto the aircraft, and only persons who have authority to go across the aircraft get there. And a note is made of every person who attempts to go on the aircraft or goes onto the aircraft and return during that process. Highly systematic.
Miller, who is a former commissioner of police, said they remain baffled about the claims of luggage theft at the AIA.
No personal items. They cannot take their work bag or any other bag there. So how are they removing these articles out of the whole baggage area? Cameras are well placed. We determine where the search tables are placed. They cannot be removed by screeners, and they are placed there so that cameras will get the best imagery, the best projection in respect of the operations. Highly skilled people place these cameras, not us. We are only enforcing what must be done. And these cameras were placed and reviewed, etc., put to the test on numerous occasions. So that question you're asking, Javid, we're asking the same question. And this is because we have not yet seen any evidence of these allegations.
Miller says there have been instances where persons who complain of missing items call to say that they found them. But what is interesting is that the same way they publish the information on social media about these missing items, they do not use the same medium to say they have found them. As it relates to the confiscation of goods at the AIA, Miller noted that there are notices placed at almost every point at the airport about the prohibited items, and he encouraged persons to get familiar with them before travel.
Before you check in, once you become aware of that, you have all opportunity to take what should not or what you cannot travel with, those prohibited items, out of your luggage. There and then you can have your relatives come and retrieve them, because I know Mr. Wright Winston would speak to that because his airline is working with that. But once you pass security, post security, you check in, you carry on luggage, we discover you exceed the 3.4 ounces or the 100 milliliters, etc. Given the fact that you are forewarned, I think once goods are confiscated, they should not be returned. We have to set standards. We do not have manpower to be confiscating articles, confiscating prohibited goods, and have persons come for them, returning them to persons. You need a separate department for this.
In relation to complaints by some persons that it is difficult to get in touch with security at the AIA to lodge complaints about their luggage, the airport's Chief Executive Officer Hadley Bourne said this is also baffling to him, as there are several ways to get in contact with the necessary personnel at the AIA. He said in relation to claims of luggage theft, information about some of these allegations are not quite forthcoming.
Determined to set up a separate, as we would say, SSU unit, a kind of rapid response unit within AIA to deal with these complaints. And it's not difficult to get hold of us. We are on social media. We are on all the various young people access mediums that I would say, and I find it hard at any moment to say they can't get in contact with us. What we've tried to do within the process is make initial contact and then respond. And once you would have made initial contact, then we respond within a time frame. But as Keith had alluded, we investigate every single complaint.
In other news, Commissioner of Police Renal Hathaway said that a statement made in a WhatsApp voice note reportedly by police officers who are members of the Police Welfare Association indicating that they should storm the Prime Minister's office must be taken seriously. In the WhatsApp voice note circulated in some quarters, the officers were reportedly expressing their disappointment with matters which they wish to have addressed by the government pertaining to leave of absence insurance while traveling in police vehicles and conditions at some police stations here. Since the WhatsApp voice notes became public, 3 officers who were members of the Police Welfare Association were transferred. They include President Sergeant Brenton Smith and executive members Corporal Jermaine Roberts and Corporal Kenroy Martin. In an interview earlier today with SVG-TV News on the matter, Commissioner of Police Renal Hathaway said that the recording was brought to the attention of his office on Monday, July 17th, and he believes that the statement made to storm the Prime Minister's office is tantamount to a threat and must be viewed as such.
When a policeman can state that he wants to storm the office of the Prime Minister, how should we, as law enforcement authority, the administrators, take that? If a civilian is to make that statement, it has to be taken very seriously. More so a police officer. I view it as nothing more than a threat, personally speaking. And it is a very serious issue which has been considered with a high degree of seriousness. What transpired is that the Welfare Association, through the chairman and other members were calling on its executive to storm the office of the Prime Minister via voice note.
Commissioner Hathaway said the matter is under investigation, and according to the Police Act, it is also equivalent to mutiny.
Having had that intelligence, that information, and actually having had the voice note, a meeting was summoned with the executive where the issue was discussed. Prior to that discussion, a decision was made to transfer 3 members of the association. The matter is under investigation. We certainly look at it from the Police Act standpoint. We looked at it as conduct that is tantamount to mutinous conduct.
A president of the Police Welfare Association, Sergeant Brenton Smith, who worked at the Central Police Station in Kingston, was transferred to Union Island. Executive members Corporal Jermaine Roberts, who worked at the Subs Police Station, was transferred to the Obia Police Station, and Corporal Kenroy Martin, who worked at Central Police Station in Kingston, was transferred to Chateaubelair as of Monday. Commissioner Hathaway was asked if the transfer was a form of disciplinary action against the officers. The top cop said transfers take place in the police force all the time.
Disciplinary action is contemplated, and disciplinary action are in motion, so to speak. The whole issue of taking disciplinary action, the wheels has started turning. The transfer is a regular occurrence within the organization.
Commissioner Hathaway said they are working to address some of the challenges facing police officers here, and that it is unprofessional of the officers of the Welfare Association to make such threatening statements against the leader of this country.
We would have just came out of Carnival, and without any further attempt to have the issue resolved, they took matters into their own hands, so to speak. Where the leave system is concerned, Sharon, we have in recent times instituted new leave system within two sections of the police force. Well, as a matter of fact, the men would have raised the issue with who are working in those divisions, and we thought it was wise and prudent for us to look at it. They themselves did the whole assessment of what is required, and they themselves came up with a plan. And those plans were endorsed and is implemented as we speak. So to say that you have a concern where the leave system within the organization is concerned and no one is paying you any attention, no one is giving the issue any consideration, is really not factual. The other issue, we're still working on it to get some clarity on the matter.
Meanwhile, attorney for the Police Welfare Association, Israel Bruce, said the response from the hierarchy of the police force in relation to the statement made in the WhatsApp voice note reportedly by members of the association to storm the office of the Prime Minister is bordering on being ridiculous. Bruce said the statement was not a threat, but simply a means by which they intended to strategize so that they could get their issues heard by the Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who is the Minister of National Security.
Of course, one of the members expressed a strategy in how do we get attention, and that member purported to have said that we should storm the Prime Minister's office. My understanding of what the officer is suggesting is that they should go to the Prime Minister's office and express their concerns with the head of the police service. Do so in the most forceful way so that the message is heard by the Prime Minister. I mean, I can't believe in this day and age that we could then begin to embrace that particular statement to suggest that the members of the Police Welfare Association executive intended to go over to the Prime Minister's office and accost the Prime Minister or to take him hostage or anything of that foolish sort. I mean, it is bordering on being ridiculous.
Bruce is of the view that the transfers of the officers to work at different parts of the country should be re-examined.
And then what we saw after, of course, there's a meeting between the executive of the Welfare Association and the top brass of the police force. And subsequent to that, we saw transfers taking effect. One could only conclude that those transfers are intended to punish the officers, to cause further desegregation within the rank and file of the Police Welfare Association. And it is not good for the police fraternity. But if that's what people in this country want to do, if that's what we find pleasing, if that's what we find satisfactory, let them proceed to do that. All I'm prepared to say at this point in time, that the issue of transfer has to be examined in the truest context that it has to be examined. And I'm not saying more on that for obvious sets of reasons.
Not speculating as to who leaked the WhatsApp voice notes of the members of the Welfare Association who are in discussion about what to do about their concerns in the police force, Bruce said that the issue must, however, not become one of politics.
Certainly, a member of the Police Welfare Association executive who is internal in that chat group must have put that voice note out into the public. Whether accidentally or deliberately, I cannot say. We are not in a position to speak to it. But it has happened, and as a consequence of its happening, we have these rippling effects. I think they're taking things out of context, and there's no need to politicize things the way they're politicizing it for the police officers. The police officers are doing what they are elected to do, to look out for the welfare of the members. And some persons may be offended because they may have taken certain decisions.
The director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Michelle Forbes, says she is pleased with the rapid response taken by those responsible for emergency shelters, as SVG was on high alert on Tuesday evening for the possible effects of Tropical Storm Don. Speaking to SVG-TV News earlier today on the preparations that were put in place for the possible effects of Tropical Storm Don and whether all systems worked as planned, Forbes said she was pleased that there was no damage caused by the weather system here and that she was happy with the support received from shelter managers and the Ministry of Education.
But most parts of the schools and most of the learning resource centers and the community centers were ready to accommodate persons. We actually had 3 shelters that were occupied last night by families. 6 families sought shelter in 3 of the emergency shelters on mainland St. Vincent. That's at Chatterbilly Government School, the Paradise Seventh-day Adventist Church in Vermont, and the Rosebank Community Center. And they were open and activated, and they have since closed this morning because those persons would have gone home. So there's always room for improvement in that general area, but I think we have been improving over the years and doing well, and kudos to the Ministry of Education for supporting the national system as the agency that is responsible for shelter management, and the chief shelter manager being the chief education officer who was with us last night. So that again is great.
Forbes also thanked all stakeholders who continue to partner with NEMO in ensuring that all systems worked as intended.
So I think we have had 2 systems passing across that has allowed us to activate our system and see that to ensure that it's running smoothly. There's not a perfect system, because once a system is created by man, it tends not to be perfect. But there always room for improvement. But I can say we definitely were able to activate all our protocols and see that everything worked. We had great support from the Agency for Public Information, who worked with us in liaison with the radio stations to ensure that our information was actually being disseminated in a correct and timely manner. So we work with a host of different our government partners in ensuring that the work is done. Because we must remember that NEMO Secretariat is just an 8-member staff that we have here at NEMO, but we depend on the other agencies' support and interaction and collaboration with all these agencies.
The NEMO director also expressed gratitude to the staff, who she said plays a critical role in disaster management activities in the country.
I have a very supportive staff, and I must say that, because sometimes persons think it is you alone. But if I did not have a supportive staff who they're always here when we need to activate, there are no questions, there are no frowns when we need to go 24 hours or need to be here overnight. And the support of the staff, the support of the subcommittees, and all those persons who would support, and volunteers who would support us once something is going to happen, or once there's something pending for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that we put our nation first. And we all work together to ensure that all the mechanisms are in place, and in the event that we need to respond and we need to take care of those who are impacted, we are always here to support. So I must say thanks to all those agencies, and of course to my staff who's always here supporting the organization. I wouldn't say me, the organization in general, for a national effort.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Maureen Williams, is urging teachers here to help their students make learning fun. Addressing the gathering at the opening of the annual Summer Institute Training Program for Teachers at the Peace Memorial Hall earlier this week, Williams encouraged educators to be different and interactive with their students. She reminisced that as a child, she too was inspired by a former teacher to do better at school and to one day serve in the profession.
Teachers, I want to encourage you to be that different teacher. Be that teacher that student will remember for the rest of their lives. I remember my two teachers in my primary school. I will remember one because if I had continued to believe what she said, I would not be here today. But I remember another who encouraged me. I looked at her, and from grade 3, I decided I want to become a school principal. That was many moons ago in the 70s. No, that would have been in the 60s. And I became a school principal as a result of the example of that principal. A principal who would come down. She was a teacher in the school, and I saw how she developed, very young, grade 3. And then she kept that link with the students and her inspiration. And I was inspired by her example, and that made me continue to strive. And I actually became a principal, I think, for over 10 years.
Williams also appealed to teachers to develop a good work ethic.
Teachers, you matter. You matter. And I heard your president encouraging you about late coming, about doing what you know you need to do. You be that example. You be that different teacher. Make St. Vincent and the Grenadines a better place as a result of your contribution. Many of us, we are almost off the scene, and I notice I say us because I still consider myself a teacher. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Over 30 years in teaching. I want to encourage you to continue to do your best so that when those of us who are about to leave the scene have left, we would have strong teachers, committed teachers, teachers who will ensure that when a child comes into your care and leaves you, you would have taken them along a path much further than when they came to you.
The Carnival campaign undertaken by the HIV/AIDS unit has been deemed a success. Assistant to the Director of the HIV/AIDS unit, Azonia Vanlo Morris, said the campaign is among several initiatives undertaken by the unit to reduce the spread of the HIV/AIDS virus in the country. Vanlo Morris said as part of the campaign for the Carnival season, members of the unit and other volunteers were engaged in condom distribution at several events, and they also used the media to get their message across, adding that the support from the public was quite encouraging.
TV ads, e-billboards, and so on, and of course our presence at the different shows and events. The reception from people this year, as always, I think it was really good. A lot of people were very appreciative of the services that we were offering, and they appreciated what we were doing. A lot of people would have, said thanks, the general thanks, you saved a life tonight, you guys are doing a good job. So I think that was a really good response from the general public, and I think that it is something that we're going to keep on doing, and in years to come we want to hope to expand and improve upon everything that we're doing during Carnival and during the year on a whole.
Vanlo Morris said the unit was happy to collaborate with local performing artist Rayon Madzard Primus on the campaign, who now serves as a brand ambassador. The HIV/AIDS unit representative took the opportunity to highlight some other initiatives which the unit is looking to undertake this year.
Also this year had a bit of a difference in that we had a campaign ambassador who was Mr. Rayon Madzard Primus, and he helps us a lot. He, gave us a lot of exposure, donated some condoms to the cause, and it was a really good thing to have, a face as well to this entire campaign, a major face to the campaign. So during the period, the carnival period, regional testing, they actually coincided with carnival, so we used that opportunity to capitalize on that as well, and we actually had extended testing hours on the 30th of June. So we had people coming in, people who were ready to go out to party came in for their testing, and I think that was something really good. People even asked if we were going to continue it during the season, but unfortunately we were not able to do that. But it's something that we're definitely going to look into.
A Vincentian man is among 2 inmates who have escaped from the Guadeloupe prison, according to media reports. The escapees have been identified as 32-year-old Orville Peters of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and 31-year-old Henry Reagan of St. Lucia. The men are believed to have escaped between Monday night, July 17, 2017, and early Tuesday morning around 4 a.m., July 18, 2017. It is alleged that they removed the bars from their cell, but there has since been no explanation as how they managed to exit the prison compound, according to French media. Security forces have been deployed to search for the men who have been branded as dangerous. Authorities in Guadeloupe believe the men will try to leave the territory. Reports are that both men were sentenced in 2016 by the Court of Assizes of Fort-de-France in Martinique. The Vincentian was sentenced to 12 years in prison with a 6-year security for armed violence, sexual assault, and rebellion on the depository of the police force. The St. Lucian national, meanwhile, was tried for extortion and murder.